and why some aren't. The big idea behind this is ear infections may be more common, but that absolutely does not mean that they are normal. And the whole point of this video is to give you the opportunity to find out, why does my child keep getting ear infections? Even when they've had multiple rounds of antibiotics or maybe even multiple tube surgeries, why are they still getting these ear infections? And so the main point of this video is we're going to get down to the root cause of ear infections. And I'll tell you what, the root cause isn't because they are just walking out into the atmosphere and walking into a giant cloud of bacteria and all of a sudden, poof, they keep getting these ear infections. The root cause behind this is their inner ear's ability to properly drain fluid. And when the inner ear can't drain fluid, that leads to a bunch of stagnant fluid just hanging out in the inner ear. And when that stagnant fluid sits there, it leaves a perfect environment for bacteria and viruses to accumulate. So when we're looking at this picture here and we see this stagnant fluid, you wouldn't look at this and say, let's spray a bunch of Raid on here and that'll kill off all the bacteria and hey, we're good to go. No, you'd want to say, what can we do to drain that fluid to keep these bacteria and viruses away, right? So if the whole point is to drain fluid from the inner ear, then why isn't their ear properly draining? Well, when we look at this concept here, when you eat food, contrary to popular opinion, the food doesn't just drop down into your stomach. It actually is milked down by the esophagus, which sends it down into the stomach. And there's a muscle in the inner ear called your Tensor Veli Palatini muscle, or your Tensor tympani muscle. And the whole point of this muscle is to actually milk fluid from the inner ear down to the back of the throat so that it can exit the inner ear. But what happens is when that Tensor Veli Palatini muscle goes into a spasm, as you see here, that doesn't allow the fluid to drain, and fluid then accumulates in the inner ear, leading to an ear infection. So the question then begs the question, why would the Tensor Veli Palatini muscle be in spasm? That's a great question, and 9 out of 10 times this stems from the birth process. The upper neck actually houses a majority of the nerves that control the Tensor Veli Palatini muscle. And the upper neck actually is the most vulnerable segment of an infant's spine and nervous system during the birth process, especially if we're dealing with a forceps or vacuum extraction or even a C-section, where incredible amounts of pressure and tension are placed on their upper spine and nervous system. And what happens is when that stress and tension gets onto their spine and nervous system, it creates stress and inflammation on those nerves, which then causes that Tensor Veli Palatini muscle to go into spasm, leading to that inner ear fluid, creating that ear infection. So the big question becomes, will an antibiotic help the inner ear drain? No, absolutely not. And then what about if we drill a hole in there? Would that be the best idea to help fluid drain? Doesn't sound like it's the best option. And that's why we're seeing tons and tons of articles come out and tons of research that are saying antibiotics are now ineffective for inner ear fluid, which is leading to that ear infection. And so we're seeing all this research pop up saying that antibiotics are actually creating a higher recurrence of ear infections and are actually leading to higher likelihoods of allergies, asthma as well. And so that's why the American Academy of Pediatrics has now said the only real best recommendation they can give is really to watch and wait, because the risks do not outweigh the benefits for the antibiotics. So what can you do about it? Well, it would make sense that if the main reason is the inner ear's ability to drain is causing these ear infections, it would make sense to restore the normal function to the Tensor Veli Palatini muscle to allow that fluid to properly drain, right? And the best part about it is this is what we do every day. Our job is to restore that function in that nervous system to allow the Tensor Veli Palatini muscle to function properly, which then allows the fluid in the inner ear to then properly drain. And once we get that fluid to finally come out of that inner ear and get that Tensor Veli Palatini muscle working properly, that is what's going to get rid of these ear infections. And the best part about it is it's really simple and easy and effective for us to find out if the cause behind their ear infections is neurological in nature. And any great pediatric chiropractor is utilizing this scanning technology right now. And it's literally the same technology they are using on NASA astronauts to make sure that they are healthy enough for space. And best part about it is they're non-invasive, they're painless, they're radiation-free, and really there's no guessing with it. It tells us exactly where the problem is and how to correct it. So you can see here in this first scan, this is what a normal scan would look like, and what I want to see is that everything is all white. Anytime I see any of the reds, as you see on this scan, that's bad. That's letting me know that there's dysregulation and abnormal function of those nerves. And so you can see here a lot of the red takes place in the upper neck, which is where the nerves that supply the Tensor Veli Palatini muscle reside. And you can see here after a course of chiropractic care, we can see that those scans are now much, much clearer. And that also led to a decrease in ear infections, and the ear infections are now still gone, which is what we want, right? We want to remove the true cause of the ear infections, and that's why we get the results that we do. That's why we have the testimonials that we do, is because we're addressing the cause behind the ear infections, not just treating the symptom, which is the ear infection. So wouldn't it be great if your child was the next chiropractic success story? And great news for you, you can. All you need to do is find a great pediatric chiropractor in your area. And we are in Westlake Village, California, on the corner of Westlake Boulevard and Townsgate. So if you are in the area and your child is struggling with ear infections, we'd love to be able to help you. But if you're not in the area and need to find a good pediatric chiropractor in your area, just let us know. We know some of the best pediatric chiropractors in the nation and would love to help you get connected to one in your area. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps, and I look forward to helping you and your kiddo.